Hey guys, it's Mrs. Clough. I am here to talk you guys through where you're going to find your notebook for your English class this year. So usually when you come to an English class, you have your composition notebook that you are working in pretty much every day. Well, we're online. So we have found a way to replicate that online, and I want to show you where you can find that, how to use it, and how to make sure that your teacher knows that you have found that notebook and you know how to use it. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is you have to find that notebook in your teacher's Canvas course. For my students, there's going to be a link for you, or you can go to modules over on the left-hand side of your screen and find the module that's titled Literary Nonfiction Notebook. There's going to be an assignment there, and when you click on that, instead of having an account question right here where I do, you are going to see a notebook, and that notebook is going to look something like this. Okay, so I, for simplicity's sake, have opened this up in a new tab. You're welcome to do so, or you're welcome to stay in Canvas. You can still work on your notebook there. Okay, but I want to show you a few things that we've put together here. So over here, you'll notice there are 4 tabs. So this notebook is yours. But the way that we set it up, we want to make sure that teachers, just like leaving your notebook in the classroom, teachers are able to look at the notebook and say, all right, well, what are they understanding or not understanding? So we still want to have access to this. So there are 3 sections that your teacher is going to be able to pay attention to, and 1 section that is mostly just for you, because we all like to doodle in our notebooks and make them our own. So the first section is the reading section, and I want you to notice that if I hover over each of these tabs on the edge here, that it gives me a link. So if I click on that link, it's going to take me to that tab. So your reading notes. The first thing we're going to be focusing on this quarter is a reading unit over literary nonfiction. Your teacher is going to be reading Hidden Figures along with you while you're reading your own book that you choose from our selection. Okay, for these notes, we want you to include several things pretty much every time we cover a new topic. We need your page to include a date, the page numbers that you read, the anchor chart or your focus for that day, text evidence, and then show us your thinking about your reading. So there's really 5 things that we want to see on those pages. And we'll talk a little bit more about that here in a second. The second tab that you see is a class resources tab. So in order to help us out, right, we're going to use lots of pictures and things like that that show you what we're learning in class. Well, we want you guys to be able to connect what you're doing in your notebook to what we're doing in class. So what I did was each of our lessons is actually going to be titled a session. So for each session, you'll see that there are posters or anchor charts that are there. So in session 1, we're going to focus on reading alert for central themes, ideas, and issues that are in the text. Okay, and I might want to include this poster just to show what I'm focusing on a specific day in my notebook. So I have the ability to just copy and paste that image straight from this page. Right? You don't have to necessarily add anything to the class resources tab, but it's there for you so that you know what we talked about on that day. Okay, so there are a lot of pieces there. Like I said, you don't have to worry about them until we ask you to pull one of those pictures or until you choose to use one. Okay, the third tab. So we're mostly focusing on reading, but you have a writing tab in your notebook. And this writing tab is for when we decide to cover a grammar topic or talk about complete sentences and make sure that we all have examples. Your teacher might ask you to copy and paste some information or examples into this section of your notebook so that when you have a question, you can go back and look at it later. Okay, so this section is going to be focused on our writing. Okay, the last section is all you. Okay, this is your journal. We might ask you to do a journal prompt every once in a while, and that's totally great. That goes in the section, right? But this is also the place, like if you find a funny picture that you want to keep in your English notebook because you think it relates to the book that you're reading, but maybe you just don't want to put it in the notes section, you can put that here. You can type your own thinking. You can treat this as your journal. This is your space if you want it. Okay, so that tab does exist for you. All right, Mrs. Clough. So my notebook has links in it and stuff. How am I supposed to use it? Because like typing isn't the same as writing, and how am I supposed to do this? I got you. Okay, so let's go back to the reading section. So I just finished reading a little bit from chapter 3 of Hidden Figures, and I want to add my notebook page focusing on what my teacher talked about today, which was central ideas, issues, and themes. So over here, I am going to see a blank page after each one of the tabs. Leave that page blank. Okay, that page is there so that you can right click and duplicate that slide. If you don't hit duplicate slide, then the links won't be there on the new slide that you add. Okay, so when you want to create a new tab or a new slide, you want to click duplicate just for this notebook. So I duplicated that page. Okay, and if I read if I read what my teacher wants me to put, the date, the page number, the anchor chart or the focus for that day, text evidence, and my thinking, okay, here's how I might do that. So I've set up an example page for you just to show you some of what you might include. And your page might look very similar, or it could look completely different. It's kind of up to you. So today I went ahead and I put today's date and I put my topic at the top. Okay, if you put your topic or what you're focused on right here, that's all you need. But I like pretty pictures. So I was like, today was session 1, and I just went to my class resources, right click, copy, and I just pasted that picture right here so that I have it. I know what I'm focusing on, and I know what I'm looking for in my reading. Okay, I added a starting page and an ending page. Okay, so I read to about page 25 today, so I want to keep track of that. And then I first wanted to include my thinking, right? And this isn't fancy. I didn't use like teachery language. I'm like just reading, like, here's what I'm noticing. I'm noticing that Dorothy was working really hard to get to where she's at. It seems that people assume that she's not worthy of certain jobs, and it seems that she doesn't think that either, right? That's all just me thinking, right? But I can't just leave it at my thinking. I want to include text evidence, and your teachers are going to be looking for you to include evidence from the text on each page. So I found a quote on page 25 that I thought showed some of my thinking. Okay, but that may not be the only thought that I have. So what other issues or themes or central ideas might connect to this thought that I'm seeing? Well, I wanted to organize that, and I wanted to kind of create a list. So I went up here to insert and table, and I chose to make a table with 4 boxes in it, and it popped up right here on the screen, and then I could just type in it, right? Just like I would draw a box or something on my page. Okay, so I know that I'm seeing things like racism and white privilege, thinking about why it's hard for Dorothy to find a job. And I'm also noticing that her hard work, she's gone to school for a long time, but it's not being rewarded the same. So those are some of the ideas that I might be seeing in my reading. This notebook page looks done to me. Like, I feel like I've done some of my reading and work for today. If your teacher asks you for a certain number of pieces of information, make sure you fill those out. Make sure you do that. But those are some of the basics that you're going to want to include on your notebook page. All right. So how do I tell my teacher that I know how to use my notebook? Okay, you are going to go to the very beginning page. You're going to go to the cover page, and down here you're going to see a space for your first and last name and your class period. What I would like you to do is go in here right now, and in your notebook, find your notebook, put your name and your class period in that blank, and then I want you to go back to Canvas, and I want you to hit submit on that assignment. And your teacher is going to have access to your document. That way they know that you know how to use your notebook. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.